Really looking forward to this conversation today, and thank you so much for joining us. So, a little bit about myself and my amazing guests here. I'm Deborah Boggs, CEO of DNS Executive Career Management, and we are a firm that works with senior leaders, typically VP, C level, board level leaders, to prepare for, navigate, and land your next big thing, whether that's a career role or a board seat. So we're not a search firm. We don't do placements, but we say we're like the home stagers to make a luxury property look expensive before it goes on the market, shorten time on the market, increase final offers. So that's me. That's what we do. But really, I am excited to introduce our two guests today because they are the ones that are really working with our clients in working through these really tough job search scenarios right now. So Dr. Norma Davila is our director of coaching. And Alan Wohan is our lead writer and also does quite a bit of our coaching as well. And so welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
I'm so excited. So as we get started, pop in the chat where you're joining us from. I'd love to see where everyone's at. Love to know who's out there watching us, as we can't see you from where we sit. And also, Carmen Poff, our Director of Client Success, is in the chat too. She'll pop in her information about how to reach out to her if you'd like to learn more about working with us and how we can help you land your next big role. So as we're waiting to see where everyone's joining us from, I will talk a little bit about what's going on right now and why we're having this conversation, and especially as we get close to the holidays. It is no secret that the job search is tough right now, and it's tough for everyone, but it's certainly tough for people that are either unemployed or have been in a search for a long time. And we want you to know, number one, you're not alone. This is very common right now. There's nothing wrong with you. And there's some things that we can do to really, keep our spirits up, because a healthy sense of ego and a healthy sense of self-worth and confidence is incredibly important at the executive level when you're looking to land your next role. It really is something that you need to have in hand. And so we're going to talk about that. And real quick, people joining us, Georgia, let's look at Indiana. That's a blast from the past, Tana Winker. We haven't seen each other in a really long time. It's good to see you. Carrie Ann Johnson in Pittsburgh. So great to see you all. Thanks so much for joining us. So let's get started. What are some of the things that you both are seeing right now with our candidates and with the candidates you're talking to? We'll start with Norma.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people who need to get used to how the job search is different now, because they were used to getting lots of calls from recruiters or getting people to tell them that something was about to open up. And suddenly they find themselves having to network differently, talk to people in a different way, and that it's stretching longer.
Yes.
So what they thought would be 3 months is taking 6, 9, maybe even more.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great point, is that the mindset around the search has got to change. Our go-to-market strategy has to change in this market. And that's a really great point, because I've had a lot of people say to me lately, it's never been this hard before.
Mm-hmm.
And that is incredibly true. And there's a lot of reasons why that search process is slowing down. It's not about, it's not that there aren't any jobs out there, but it's that companies are really stretching out their decision-making process, and they're being incredibly picky. And so the way we go about it has to change. So Alan, what are you hearing right now?
Well, and I would tend to sit a little bit more on the soft side, is that that's all true. And you'll notice right away we went into, hey, we have to change our strategy in GTM. Mm-hmm. And that's what executives do. They start thinking about, how can we fix this? And the reality is then I start hearing silence, or we think we're alone and nobody else is experiencing this. It creates a little bit of isolation. Mm-hmm. And then there's the erosion of identity, potentially, where maybe somebody is saying, oh, it must be me. And well, I've always been a project manager in some capacity, so there's no more project management out there that's needed. And this is my fault. And what's going to happen? Comparison to past success. Executives are typically, senior leaders are typically experienced shoulder tapped experience, mm-hmm. right? So now there's a different game that's being played out there that you mentioned. Why am I not further along by now? I kind of thought I'd have a couple of conversations and people would be just jumping and asking me to come work for them, and what can we do in the future. And so that mindset is part of the process. There needs to be the plan, the strategic plan, but there's also the mindset on the back end where we're feeling all of the feels, the emotions that go with that.
Yeah, I think that also it has to do with how we define ourselves and how strong our professional identity is, and how shaken up it gets when we're in a situation that we don't have that anymore. So who am I?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I want you all to know, listening, that this happens at every single level. This happens to everyone we talk to at some point when they go through a tough search, no matter how high up in their career they had been, how well known in their industry. They feel these feelings of self-doubt. Is anyone going to want me? Is anyone going to hire me again? Do I have anything to offer in this market? So you're not alone. If you're feeling like, I just don't, maybe there's just not opportunities for me. Just know you're not alone, and there are opportunities for you. We just have to do a little extra digging to uncover them, and just really shore up that sense of confidence when you come into the room. Because if you're unsure if you can add value to a company, or you've gotten, no after no after no, especially if you've been doing online applications, things like that, and you keep getting these auto rejections, or, the first round recruiter doesn't bring you on to the next round of conversations, it's not helpful for your sense of ego. And just know that we've really got to be continuing to work on having a lot of irons in the fire, and just continuing to move forward, because it can get really hard.
So it's going to show.
Yes, it's going to show. Exactly.
During interviews, during meetings, during anything. If you're just dragging yourself because you were beaten up, because you feel like the world's coming to an end, because you didn't get that offer that you wanted, and of course I'm exaggerating, but
yes,
if you're feeling down in the desperation, it's going to come across. So I think that part of what we want to do today is get at how we can turn that around, so that even when you're not feeling that well, you can go and do what you need to do.
Yep. Control the narrative.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Control the narrative. Talk about the pieces that you want to talk about. And while I queue up this next question, some of you may be thinking a layoff may be coming, or just recently went through a layoff. I know someone called me. I was driving down to Boston, and I got a call from a friend of a friend, and she'd just gotten her letter, her severance package, and we're talking through all these options, things like that. So as I queue up this next question, let's talk about what to do if you think a layoff may be coming, or if you know that something might be coming and you're not really sure what to do next. So this is a quick guide to help you think through the things you need to do in the immediate future to shore up your ability to hit the ground running in your search. So I'll leave this QR code up for a moment while we talk a little bit about some daily practices. I'd love to hear from you all. You both coach our clients on their job search strategy, interview preparation, things like that, really helping people move forward through the search. So tell me a little bit about what you advise clients to do, or candidates, these daily practices to help them build momentum in their search.
Alan, would you like to go ahead? I'm the voice behind the QR code.
Yeah. Couldn't see you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to tell you who. Yeah, Alan, you get started.
Sure. Well, of course, TNS has a plan of attack. And so there would be certainly some fundamental things that we would advise. And those just kind of become the daily, the weekly, the monthly kind of plan of attack going forward. I think a few intrinsic things that maybe would be a little bit more helpful, not a little bit more helpful, equally helpful, is to have a simple, repeatable morning structure for yourself. Mm-hmm. And typically when we're searching or networking, we're going through, hey, I got to just pound out 12 hours on a daily basis and apply for every job or connect with every person that I can. And some of those aspects are great, but how am I preparing myself for that? So I'm thinking a little bit more holistically here. So maybe it's a 15-minute morning routine, just an identity reminder, lean into some of those confidence builders of who I am and the things that I have done, but also what I would like going forward. Where am I running to? And then how do I want to align to that? Intention setting and the mindfulness grounding. Maybe if it's a a person that wants to practice something spiritually, or they like to take walks in nature, etc., to make sure they have that holistic space for themselves. And then micro momentum. So planning, strategy. So maybe it's one small task. Maybe it's not 10 hours of job search for a day. Maybe it's a couple of hours of high impact connections. Maybe it's aligning your LinkedIn profile and just choose one section and focus on that for the day. And it depends where you're at in the process. So if somebody that's just starting out, it might need to be more gradual that way. Somebody that's further along in the process, they might be at the place where they're consuming bigger chunks of time in that process of connecting their mindfulness, where they want to go, the intentions, and then some of the progress around that. And evidence of progress would be another great way to chart. Most of us like some sort of a spreadsheet or information, data points, et cetera, that we can pull back. But what am I measuring? Am I measuring just how many offers I got today or this week? Or maybe I can break that down a little bit further. How many people did I connect with? Michelle likes to talk about the 2 a.m. club. Maybe you just need to have a coffee conversation with somebody and rebuild some of the energy and the why behind what you do and connecting with people, and then start looking for those opportunities and measure that. Maybe I talked to 3 great contacts this week, and they're going to be on the lookout for me, and they gave me 2 other names. That can be a win sometimes.
I love that, Alan. A couple things you said there are, everything you said was gold, but I love the idea of micro momentum, right? Some days it's tough. Sometimes it's really hard. And what can you do to just drive yourself forward and know you ended the day in a better place than you started it?
Yeah.
And the other thing I love that you bring up is let's track some wins that aren't just getting a job offer, because that's the end big goal. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. And especially at the executive level, this job search takes time. And so every single day, if you don't land a role and that's all you're measuring, every day you failed. And this is not helpful. And so really focusing on what are those other things that are really driving momentum that we can focus on, so important. And real quick, before Norma, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. But I'm going to pop up this quote from Emily Wong. Hi, Emily. I think we might have missed you. I'll send you a private note. Thank you so much. Joining from the San Francisco Bay Area. And she says, I love the compassion your team brings to the job search. And I had to call this out because Emily, you're so incredibly right. This is what I absolutely love about our team that we've built here, is that we do really deeply care. These conversations we're having out loud right now, we have behind closed doors as well. How can we support our clients through tough times, individual people and just in general? And so I appreciate that. Thank you, Emily. So Norma, tell me, what are some things people can be doing daily to help drive some momentum?
Actually, I was going to look at that, but for the steps that they can take before something happens.
Great.
I think it's something that we need to look at too.
Yeah.
The micro things that we can do before something happens are all related to being prepared.
Yes.
You never know. I mean, your instincts are telling you something's not quite right. I'm not getting invited to meetings. My budget got slashed. I'm not getting the answers that I wanted. That doesn't feel right. Instead of waiting for that very last moment when you get the news that you didn't want to get, start preparing yourself for what could happen. Meaning, making sure that your contacts and your information is not on your work computer, because you're not going to have access to it.
Yes, download all of your contacts.
Exactly. Download everything. It's not the days when you would pack a bunch of cards into your bag. It's electronic. It's digital these days. So you have to do that. Start getting your feelers out to find out how the market is if you haven't been too active, just to get a sense of how the world is outside of your 4 walls. And start getting those, as Alan was saying, gradually. One day I'm going to do this. Next day I'm going to do that, because you suddenly don't want to enter your office either.
Right.
But, because that would send other signals to the group. But you need to get into the habits of caring for yourself in a different way. That is while you're working and when you're not, as you're building momentum for whatever may be next. And totally with Ellen in terms of micro momentum, taking care of ourselves, grounding ourselves. It's going to take a while for whatever to happen and for whatever to get to what it needs to be next.
Mm-hmm. And that sense of control, of knowing you're prepared.
Yes.
In past calls, I know, in past webinars we've done on preparing for layoff, I love the points you've made to those groups of, if you're doing a little bit every day, then when that layoff happens that that you think may be coming, you can walk out with your head held high and have your dignity. You're not packing things up. You're not in a emotional state. You're not, carrying that awful box out to the car, right?
Yes.
Grab your purse. If you're female, grab your bag, whatever, walk out the door. And that gives you a real sense of control.
Yes, and you leave the place elegantly without
Yes.
feeling defeated and without feeling like you were thrown away from a place where you spent however many years of your career, your life.
Right.
So true. And so for those of just joining us, we do have a free download on how to prepare for a layoff. If you feel like something may be coming, or you're even facing it right now, we do have some advice. So here's the QR code to help you prepare. And I'll leave that up for a moment while I queue up this next question. So we've been hearing from a lot of clients lately, and a lot of candidates out there that it's been a long search, that it's taken longer than they expected, that they keep getting no's, that they come up number 2 after long hiring cycles, more than once, and so their confidence is just shot. How would you suggest someone look at rebuilding confidence to really show up stronger in the job search, or at least keep their mindset up? So for this one, we'll start with Norma, since I keep starting with Alan, and we'll go from there.
Yes, I think that staying focused on what they want to achieve and allowing themselves to feel whatever it is they're feeling at the time.
Yes.
It's like, this is what I want. This is where I am right now. I feel miserable. I feel hurt. I get all kinds of feelings when I work with clients about this. Feel it. If you don't, it's going to come back. It's going to come out at the wrong time, and it's going to hurt you more. Once you've gone through that, give yourself a few days, talk to somebody, contact your 2 a.m. team or network or your friends or your coach or whoever. I mean, I've taken calls under a tree to talk about these things. to go through the experience of the moment and then get moving. Mm-hmm. One thing that we have to keep in mind is that this is not about the person. There are a lot of things that they don't control. It doesn't have anything to do with your qualifications, whether you didn't have the right keywords. You made it that far.
Right.
Something else happened.
Yeah, remembering that it's not necessarily about you. There are hundreds of reasons that a company could choose someone else that actually have nothing to do with you or your qualifications. There's nothing you can do differently. And so what we want to do is maximize our shots on goal, but it doesn't mean that if we miss a shot that it's because we did something wrong. And I'm going to pull up on the screen here, note our Michelle Merritt, who's our Chief Strategy Officer, brought up a really great point, because this is heavy stuff. And so if things are looking dark, if you're having trouble finding that micro momentum, call, text, or chat 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline. It's absolutely important to remember that, don't let things get too far down the line, right? This can be very hard. This affects every part of your life, and it's not wrong to seek help.
It's not a sign of weakness.
Right. Alan, what would you say to someone looking to kind of rebuild their confidence for the search?
And this is the hard part. I feel like I'm telling individuals what to do. And so, Norma, you're 100% right. Somehow we have to normalize the response. You're not alone. There's grief stages that tend to come with this process. Statistically, at this time of the year, we move into the holidays. And statistically, those are the hardest, I would say, emotional months to be able to deal with big changes, and especially if companies make those changes at the end of the year. And depending on that preparation and where we're at, ultimately it's reaching out to individuals, having community, so that we're not alone and we're not isolated. And then we have to reframe that data in some form. So the preparedness helps with the confidence, and it's really a baseline question of what is true. Because in the moment, if I do get walked out and I'm not prepared, everything seems to be shattered, and my truth can shift very quickly in that narrative. But what is true? I know who I am. I know the work that I've possibly done for 20, 30 years. I know what I built up. I have my family. I have a lot of truth sayers around me that can speak into that. And we have to run to that and sit in that and re-anchor the identity. And sometimes our anchor drags a little bit in the water, to use a boating reference. And let's toss the anchor back out. And who are those people? What are the situation that we can speak into? And then, of course, align for the plan of attack. That might not be day one. It might be a week. It might be a month. It depends what it looks like. But ultimately, I just have to re-anchor that and come back to the psychology of this is who I am. And, and oftentimes we all need someone to come alongside us, sit on the curb, so to speak, if we're children, and have that arm around the shoulder effect and just remind us you're a good person. And that's the privilege we get, to be able to look at situations from the outside and say, wow, I am amazed at everything that you've done. And so how do we use that now and build that momentum and that confidence going forward?
And it makes perfect sense for people to feel how they're feeling, especially when they're worn out. After long searches. And something that I'd like to make sure that we talk about is that being worn out and being emotional may make them make mistakes, may cloud judgment. They may not necessarily see the truth in opportunities they're seeing or approaches they're getting. So this is just something for people to be more alert. We get vulnerable. We don't always think as clearly as we usually do.
Yeah, when we go into that fight or flight response, sometimes we can ignore red flags, right? Or we can, we can go into crisis mode. And it depends. I mean, I love Alan's point about creating that sense of community. Think about what you're hearing at home too, what your friends are saying, what your spouse or partner may be saying. Because if it's, I don't understand why you don't have a job yet. I don't know, are you even looking? Why don't you just settle and take something different? All of these things, they can be harmful to the trajectory of your career, but they can also be harmful for your mental state as you go through this search to keep up your confidence. So keep that in mind and seek out the community around you that can help build you back up and drive you forward. So, seek out people. And that's one of the things, we haven't always offered this monthly coaching that we do now with our clients. We've always offered the support to build the job search strategy, prepare for interviews, prepare for compensation negotiation, maximize that final offer. But it was really on a one-off basis. And more recently, we've really started offering this very holistic one-on-one coaching, job search done with you type approach that you both are doing and other coaches on our team are doing, where we're working at least weekly. We're hands-on, we're building lists of companies, we're building lists of key contacts, we're creating the networking messaging, we're preparing for the interviews, we're debriefing after the interviews. And I say all this to say it's because people are wanting that closer level of a job search done with you community type support. And that's something we've been doing a lot more lately that we've never done before, because people need it now. So if you do need that extra support, that is something, we're happy to provide, but also, it doesn't hurt to go find that. And then there's a question in here. I'm going to pop on the screen because I think this is a great question for Alan. So Scott Jason Rogers says, I took some time off from my career to evangelize, work on my faith, and assist with fundraising initiatives for my church. What is a good strategy for overcoming a career break? And before I turn it over to Alan, I just want to say, Scott, I love this because people will call me often the day they get laid off. And especially if they know me, I'll get a call on my cell phone, something like that. I'll say, I just got laid off. I need to start my job search. I need to start working my resume. And if you have the time, not everyone has the luxury of time, it's always a good thing to take a pause, to take a break, to take a breather and reset before you hop into the job search and crisis mode. So I love that you took a career break, and I'd love to hear, Alan's perspective on how to overcome that and get back into the job search.
And I would love to hear your expressions in response as well. For me, I would say, is that a career break? Because oftentimes what we're doing is we're building ourselves back up. There's forms of leadership in that. You're probably increasing your EQ, that emotional intelligence. And those are all strong components to the development of a strong leader. And EQ and emotional intelligence and adaptability, I believe, are the top two skills that are typically assessed at the leadership level. So ultimately, you're adapting, you're pivoting in the moment. You took a break, you reassessed, you realigned. You're not just jumping into something.
Yeah.
We would frame that as a career, I would say a career gap, but we probably have a line item to some degree in our resume.
Yeah.
And we're just frame that on how we stayed active and how we went back into leader mode in some regard. In this case, you were leading yourself. So I appreciate that opportunity to grow and develop, because it's out of the discomfort that we typically grow, learn, and become the better leaders that we are.
Yeah, we're moving into a new context to do different things that are ultimately aligned with what we want to do professionally. So why not include it in there? Maximize the impact of it.
Yeah. Exactly. Showing how you've been staying busy, you worked on a passion project, you really, leaned into your leadership. I think that's excellent. And we don't need to worry about those career gaps as much as we used to. If you haven't had to do a job search in a long time, honestly, since the pandemic, career gaps are, and gaps in your job search, in your job, people used to panic if there was more than a month there, right? It's not necessarily a big deal anymore. I tell people up until you get to about a year, it's really not a big deal, and you're not going to field a ton of questions about it. Matt Grover, good point. Sorry about that, Norma. Matt Grover had a good point. Plan and visualize your micro momentum daily. Build some data skills at the same time. Build a job search tracker, things like that. Notion is a great tool. It's a free tool. That's a great point, Matt. Because it is one of those things that, focusing on that and seeing that momentum daily is so incredibly helpful.
Yep.
Getting the structure that you had before, and suddenly you lost because you're not doing what you were doing.
Right.
You got to transfer it.
Yeah, use what you know. We're all leaders, right? And so sometimes we get off track, or we forget, or we get lost in the busyness, or a major job shift takes place, whether it's our choice or not. And all of a sudden, what do? Let's go back into what you're great at.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. Lean on those skills. Don't let them get rusty.
Yeah.
So feel free to pop in the chat, anyone who has questions for our coaches as we start to wrap up here. Interview processes, friends, they are not for the faint of heart right now. They are stretching, into 5+ months long for one opportunity, 7 to 12 rounds of interviews between the initial call with a recruiter or an HR assistant, all the way to presentations with the board. It's a whole thing. So Norma, I'd love your thoughts on how people can kind of manage and deal with these interview processes that stretch on so long.
I think that one of the main things they need to do is to stay visible, because the interview process is taking so long that they need to keep reminding people they exist. They're contributing, they're doing something. Oh, I found this article that's related to whatever it was that we discussed last week. Those kinds of things, the follow-up component that it's so easy to forget about, has to be present. It's the only way to stay on people's radars. And that's going to make a difference in the final results. This person took the time to do ABC versus this other person who didn't. Keep at it.
That's a really good point. Yes, stay visible, stay focused. Absolutely. And Alan, do you have a 15-second suggestion?
Maintain parallel momentum. Don't put your eggs in one basket. So do what Norma said, and then make sure you're continuing to connect with others on the back end.
Yes, do not wait till the very last thing. I mean, 5 months long is an eternity in business, and anything can change in there. So no matter how sure of a thing it looks, keep the momentum rolling, get more irons in the fire. Absolutely.
Yep.
You'll just have more follow-up to do. That's all.
Yep. More. Yep. Adding the follow-up to it. Absolutely. Well, for both of you, I can't thank you enough for coming on, having this conversation. I think it's really, really important. And I know it's something that you both have been facing with the candidates you're working with. I know we're all doing it as a team. The good news is clients are getting offers, things are happening, things are moving. It's just taking longer. So know this: I've never seen a candidate fail at their search and die alone with their cats. There is something out there for you. You just have to keep your head up and keep moving and keep marching towards it. It is there. It's going to be fine. You're in that messy middle that hurts the most. It's the hardest part, right? but once you get back at it, everything will be easier. So just know that. And we're here to support you. And if you have any questions on what that looks like, reach out to Carmen Poff on our team. One more time, I'll pop up the, actually, I'll give you a different, if anyone's in your search and you feel like you're spinning your wheels and you don't know why, download our job search diagnostic form to identify the areas that may be holding you back in your search or things that you can do to build momentum. So while I've got that up, I also want to announce a couple of quick things. So we're not going to do this next week. It'll be the first week in a really long time because Thursday's Thanksgiving here in the US. So we will be taking the week off, but then the week after that, I will be live in person with our good friend, David Honig, and he is an executive recruiter in the marketing space. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk to him in person and learn a little bit about how to stand out to recruiters, how they go through the process of selection, and what the heck is going on for marketing leaders right now, because it is the toughest search we're seeing in the market. So join us on, I believe off the top of my head, December 4th, but it's a Thursday, and I will see you all then. Thank you.